Good afternoon, Dr. Norton here with a few ideas, a few points about the writing process, things that I find that are important. Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Ernest Hemingway is one of the most famous writers in American history. One of the aspects of Ernest Hemingway's writing, one of the elements of his writing that he is most famous for is the simple, straightforward sentence, the stripped down, naked phrase, they would call it. He's famous for this. He's famous for the most simplistic statements, short sentences, right to the point. Subject, verb, object, simple. Not a big dangling preposition out front, not a when phrase or whatever kind of complicated phrase we see in other kinds of writing at times that are often muddy and confusing. What's the point? That's a question you're going to face as you write for other people. In business, in sales, and just in daily life. What's the point? Get to it. Make it clear. Make it definitive. Hemingway writes, "He lay flat on the brown pine needle floor of the forest, his chin on his folded arms, and high overhead the wind blew in the tops of the pine trees. The mountainside sloped gently where he lay, but below it was steep, and he could see the dark of the oiled road winding through the pass. There was a stream alongside the road, and far down the pass he saw a mill beside the stream, and the falling water of the dam, white in the summer sunlight." Such a good book. If you haven't read For Whom the Bell Tolls, I highly suggest it. That would not be for this class, but it's a fantastic, fantastic read. Okay, but let's analyze this quickly here. So the first sentence starts with, he lay. Subject he, verb lay. Second sentence starts with, the mountainside sloped. Subject, mountainside, verb, sloped. Subject, verb, sentence. Those kinds of sentences, the subject plus verb sentence, that is your bread and butter. So as you're writing for this class, be thinking about that. As you're writing from here on out, be thinking about that. How many basic subject, verb sentences do I have in this letter? Now that is part of the proofreading. Now up front, as you write a work or a letter or an email or whatever, you need to write down everything. Ideally, you're not writing the email back to someone. If it's an important email, you write that in a Word document. You don't write it back in the email body space, because you know what can happen there is you can hit send on accident and have a real problem on your hands. So if it's an important email, in business especially, I will always create a Word document and compose the email there. You get the benefit of the spell check. I know some email programs have the spell check, but it's not as good as Word. You get the benefit of the spell check. You get the benefit of not having the stress of what if somebody hits send here? What if my computer fritzes and sends this thing early? Not a good call. So just a basic kind of a logical, practical tip there. Always compose your emails or your letters in a Word document first. Cut and paste into the body space for the email and then send from there. Why do I bring that up? Because the first initial part of writing is just brainstorming. Get the writing out first. In all of its messiness, don't critique your writing as you write it. Don't edit yourself as you write. Those two things are very different. Those are two different people altogether. You have your editor and you have your artist. The artist must work first. He or she must create freely, not feel hindered by some creepy editor over here over the shoulder saying, no. You got to dismiss those two. Those two people have to work in separate rooms. Right? I'm being imaginative here, but nonetheless, get your artist first, your artist side, your creative side. Boom. Free reign. Close the door. Dismiss the editor. Turn off the proof, the spell check if you want. I don't usually do that. I don't look at the red squiggly lines when I first type out a letter or any kind of work. You get it done. You get the ideas down. And then dismiss the artist. You bring in the editor. And the editor comes in and looks for what I'm talking about here. Subject plus verb. That's one of the first things you should see. How many of these sentences are actually subject plus verb? Why do I want that? Why do we talk about that? Many great writers make this point. Many great business writers, many great writers in society will emphasize this idea of the subject plus verb sentence. Why? Because you're getting who and what right out the gates. Who and what right out the gates, right away. So he lay. The mountainside sloped. There was. Boom, right away. Subject plus verb. Hemingway, beautiful.
that is our writing tip for the week. Best of luck as you create. Let's see what you have due this week. I'm just looking at my assignment sheet here in Blackboard. As you create a series of emails, actually this week, you have reading in the Business Review Guide, the Purdue, you're writing the basic business letter, and the reference request. See you later.